The Calgary Flames are in the fight for one of the last playoff spots in the Western Conference with just a handful of games to go. Jess Belmosto of Locked On Flames joins us to talk about their chances and what it'll take for the Flames to make the playoffs.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thanks for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Flames, Jess Belmosto. And Jess, big games coming up for the Flames, stretch drive here, fighting for this playoff spot. What will it take for the Flames to get it done?
It's something that hasn't really been happening for the majority of the season. I feel like up until like the 75th game of the season, and that is everyone being on the same page. They finally have something to fight for, and I think that that's their motivating factor, because it's just kind of been, oh, well, we'll go on a 7-game losing streak. It's okay. Like, we'll pick up another game. And they hadn't won 4 in a row all season up until last week. So it's a little concerning.
Little concerning. Obviously, goaltending always important. Do you think the goaltending is there as of late?
You know, I think I've talked about this a lot on Locked On Flames, but I think there were so many external factors to Jacob Markstrom's performance this season, on top of being a new dad. And it was like, as soon as his baby was born, he was good. It's like all that worrying was out of his mind. And, you know, he has had some, less than good games, obviously, since the beginning of March. But, he started 18 of the last 19 games, and he didn't have horrible starts. The Flames are still in it for a reason, I guess. But I do think that Markstrom or even Vladar are capable of holding up this team by like popsicle sticks. They're still standing.
One advantage, the remaining games on the schedule, all against teams who, if the season ended today, would not be in the playoffs. How does that, some teams have trouble getting up for games against teams that are below them in the standings. Some teams take care of business. Where do the Flames fit in that situation?
In true Calgary fashion, right in the middle. It depends on what day of the week it is, which team it is. And, they don't really decide until like maybe the second period. They played Chicago last week, which, that feels like a very easy 2 points to collect, but they didn't win a single game against Chicago all season. And, tonight they play, or I guess Saturday they play Vancouver, and it's just one of those things where you don't know what you're getting out of this team anytime they step foot on the ice, because they can go out and play like they deserve to be in the cup final. And then other nights you're like, this season just needs to end immediately.
Where does coaching fit into that inconsistecy issue?
Oh, this is something I struggle with, because Daryl Sutter he's Daryl Sutter. He has a very wonderful resume. If not, he's going to go down in history as one of the best coaches, or if not the best coach in NHL history. But he is so set in his ways, and those ways often complicate things for the roster and for those those easy wins. Jacob Pelletier finally made his NHL debut this year, and he had a fantastic season, really, and he's added some speed to the lineup, which is something this team has lacked severely. And, he made one mistake. He made a turnover in against Los Angeles in March and hasn't played a game since. Mind you, the Flames were already down 5-0, and this is the second period. So it's just not ideal to, be benching players that should be in the lineup when, players like Milan Lucic are just like doing whatever they want and can get away with it because they're vets and they have a relationship with Sutter.
Obviously, that complicates things a little bit. Talk to me about a couple of players who are really helping this team make this playoff push, people who have been hot as of late and are contributing to the team's recent success.
Yeah, I would say Walker Duehr. He has been playing. He was called up earlier in the season, and he has been really helpful in stabilizing the Flames' fourth line. He adds speed to it. He has a nice shot, and he has a good finish. He's going to finish the job, and I don't know how many goals he's had off the top of my head, rather, but he's had a very, very big impact, at least on the bottom six. I think Tyler Toffoli is the obvious answer here as well. Leading scoring, I can't even talk today. Sorry. Scoring leader on the Flames. And, I doubted him coming into that role and stepping up into that role because he was brought into the Flames last year as that middle six guy. Like, you're not really, he's a versatile player, but him stepping up and having, setting new career highs. I think he has 34, 35 goals this season is absolutely fantastic.
Talk to me about Nazem Kadri, big signing in the offseason. We're almost a full season into his Flames career. How has he met expectations and how has he not met expectations this season?
Yeah, so I think the biggest issue here was people just expecting him to continue that point per game pace, which that's not possible. That's not really sustainable. And I don't think that was a realistic expectation for anyone to have. So, you do have to kind of manage those, but I don't want to say he's been bad. I mean, yes, he had a horrible giveaway against Chicago and he owned up to it. He owned his piece and said, I just lost it out there. I don't know, wasn't focused. And to me, that's the biggest thing is accountability and not throwing other teammates under the bus for your mistakes or other, areas where the team could be stepping up. I think that he really has forced this, I wouldn't say a level of physicality to the team because he's not like Toronto Maple Leafs Nazem Kadri, but he definitely brings like a level of toughness to the team.
All right, so just a handful of games left. Where can our viewers and our listeners find out more about the Flames with the podcast and where they can find you on social media?
Yes, so definitely come hang out with us. We're here every day, Monday through Friday at Locked On Flames, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube as well. I really appreciate when people, jump to the comments and kind of, are able to have a discussion there. So that's highly encouraged. You can follow the show on Twitter at LO_FlamesPod. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto.
Jess, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Grand slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because now new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. And look, check out the odds for your favorite Major League or NHL team on the FanDuel app. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.